I think you're going to love today's show. Dr. John Trowbridge, a buddy of mine for many, many years, and I discuss food allergies. Is gut permeability the etiology or the cause of that? In the opening of today's show, methylene blue, it's a stain, a dye in the laboratory. It's been used for a long period of time. It's also the parent molecule of hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine, the anti-malarial. And so you must know why methylene blue helps a lot of people now. It has antifungal properties. Pet food contamination. We need to talk about mycotoxins in normal pet food. Someone asked me about sugar cravings. We'll address that. And finally, we're going to land with Abby showing you what a garlic peeler is. I had no idea. All that and more on this Know the Cause. For the past 45 years, I have dedicated my life and my whole career to finding the root cause of disease. And I now know with certainty that we must play a role in our own health care. I'm a self-care advocate, and you know what? Every time you change your diet for the better, exercise, or swallow a nutritional supplement, so are you. Now welcome to Know the Cause. In my old days, maybe 50 years ago, after I got back from Vietnam, I went to work for a guy named Howard Gottschalk. He was an ear, nose, and throat doctor. And he did nasal cytograms. He'd take a little wiping of the turbinates in the nose, put it on a glass slide, and we could tell, based on a stain we added, Wright's Giemsa or Giemsa stain, we could tell cytologically if a person had an infection or an allergy, right? A lot of eosinophils in the nasal cytogram meant an allergy, okay? I got to thinking about some of these stains. And this one, methylene blue, has a fascinating background. A new paper came out on it. Methylene blue, originally used in medicine as a dye or stain to inactivate certain microbes. Now, that's key. It inactivates fungus or bacteria. It also became one of the first human chemotherapeutic medications to treat malaria in 1891. And you're thinking, okay, malaria, hydroxychloroquine. Let's keep going. This gets better and better and better. It's the parent molecule of the anti-malarial medications, hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine, both of which have antifungal properties. So says this research paper out of 2013. You see where this is going. Wait till you see the headline, and here it is. Methylene blue protects nerve cells. Recent research has shown that methylene blue may be neuroprotective against severe cytotoxicity cell death related to diseases such as a stroke and Parkinson's disease. Okay, so if you got into a neurotoxin, methylene blue might become your go-to drug, right? Neurotoxin, antibiotics, alcohol, mycotoxins, but it gets even better. Methylene blue can prevent and manage brain damage in relation to tumors. You got to be kidding me. Ifosfamide, or IFEX, is a cancer chemotherapy drug used in brain and other types of cancer. It can cause brain damage that can be mitigated by using methylene blue. It is not entirely clear how methylene blue prevents brain damage in these cases. Could I please make a suggestion? Folks, with it being the parent molecule of hydroxychloroquine, antifungal, could this methylene blue itself have antifungal properties? If it mitigates the damage done by chemotherapy, should all oncologists be looking at it? It's fascinating, folks. So as you've already learned, methylene blue, this stain, is the parent molecule of the anti-malaria, antifungal medications, hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine. It mitigates brain damage caused by the chemotherapy drug IFEX. It shows promise in treating neurotoxic reactions seen in diseases like Parkinson's and stroke. It inactivates certain germs, like those that cause malaria. Fungus is a neurotoxic microbe. So you begin to look at all this, folks, and please understand, doctors don't know this. They can't follow the trail here that I'm making for you. They just know now methylene blue, gee, we should probably give it to Parkinson's patients or those who are worried about having a stroke or other cardiovascular events. We should probably give it to people who have neurotoxicity. There used to be 5 neurotoxic syndromes. Now I'm sure there's hundreds, as we cannot ever realize the neurotoxicity of the glass of wine or the beer we have in the evening, or the antibiotic that we're put on over and over and over again. The first antibiotic, the first glass of wine, does no damage. It's chronic use of those things that may be damaging. And get this, here we have it from the National Institute of Health Open Microbiology Journal 2016. Methylene blue has antifungal properties. We demonstrated the antifungal activity of methylene blue and found that methylene blue, was efficiently showing its anti-candidal effect not only on Candida albicans, but also for non-albican species. There's Candida glabrata, Candida tropicalis, and so on. Lots of these yeasts are out there. It's important, folks, that you understand when something works this well to prevent Parkinson's or stroke, it's got to have antifungal properties. Finally, a recent study suggests the resistance rates to Candida for amphotericin B, fluconazole, which is diflucan, itraconazole, which is sporanox, and voriconazole, were low. Under such circumstances, it becomes compelling to look for new drugs such as methylene blue and explore their targets. It's about time. Things that work from the plant world or the pharmaceutical world, in my humble opinion, generally work because they have antifungal properties. Yes, I believe fungus is slowly taking us down, and I'm not so sure medicine understands this yet. I hope that helps you. What were you doing in 1986? 84 to 86. My guest right now, who's, I've got to tell you folks, he's one of my mentors. We go way back 40 years.
41 years.
41 years. He was writing a book called The Yeast Syndrome, deeper than The Yeast Connection or any of the others. But this is what I needed in 1985-86 to confirm what I was seeing in these clinics was real. Dr. John Trowbridge joins me right now. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Doug.
And was that 40 years?
41 years. You taught me food allergies in 1981.
81. So Evan, my son, who is now 40, was 1 year old. Wow.
Wow.
Tell me a little bit about what you have learned about food allergy from that time forward. Do you still do food allergy testing?
I do, but much more limited, because if you do it right away when they come in, they're loaded with yeast and all sorts of immune system disorders. You get a scattering and they can't eat anything. So I wait until we get to the point where, you know, something's still there. Let's go check for the food allergies.
Banana every morning or something like that.
Let's confirm how your gut's working.
What I learned from you is gut permeability can induce, so you chew up corn and wheat and yeast and it leaks through, right? Why you chew it up? It leaks through the gut and you make antibodies. These we're drawing blood and looking for antibodies.
Exactly.
Wow. So it often has to do with what you're eating, depending on the antibody you're testing, right? Do you test IgG, IgM, IgE?
I do all sorts of ones, kind of depending on what that patient's going on with.
Good.
Sometimes it's just dictated by their insurance coverage, and you go, but that's not the best test.
I know, exactly. Just elimination diet.
Exactly. I had a fellow in, gosh, way back early on, A&M guy had 7 food allergies. 7 foods he could eat, sorry. One of them was water, okay? Talk about a rotation diet. Well, we got him through and he did just fine.
Can I, there's a myth, and I help perpetuate this myth, that people cannot get over their yeast hypersensitivity, their fungal disease, in a short period of time, but you can sure identify it in a short period of time. Maybe in a week when you go on a specialized diet and you begin taking antifungals, either nutritional or you can, the bulb goes on about 3 or 4 days, I'm feeling better.
Exactly.
How do you do that with your patients?
I tell patients, at some point you're going to get religion. And they go, what do you mean? And I go, we're going to start getting you better, and then you're going to kind of slip off a little bit. And then the next morning you'll wake up dead, and you'll realize who is in charge of how well you feel. And it's the foods. It's the foods.
Now,
it's amazing.
You've been at that same building?
Same building, 41 years.
Good
no,
for you.
44 years now, sorry.
44 years.
I just count, I'm old.
John, tell me a little bit about, and I mean this in all sincerity, where did you go right? Where did you figure out that chelation therapy can really help unplug the clogs? Where did you first realize that yeast was really a pathogen that could cause illness?
You know, it's kind of funny because it was at several points during my career when what I was being taught just kind of didn't fit what I was seeing. In my very first year of practice, I managed to kill a guy with an anti-inflammatory, which is still widely marketed. And it's like, okay, I never want to do that.
You blew his liver?
No, he bled to death in front of me in the intensive care unit. And that's a common side effect, incidentally, of NSAIDs, the popular ones over the counter. So the deal is that kind of made me think maybe I should go into, public health medicine. I'd been invited to return to the NIH, and thought maybe I'll get a law degree or a biz degree or something. And then I discovered acupuncture with a laser light. I'd have to go to school 2 more years to pass needles, but you could use a laser light. That worked wonderfully, and I thought, what else did they not teach me? So I was kind of open-minded, and the more I learned I was not taught, that was what worked.
How many, if 100 patients were to come see you as new patients this month, how many of them would have an underlying fungal or yeast problem?
Out of 100, 95, 96,
that
97, many? Yes.
What would your peers?
We're all wet, warm, and wonderful. That's what the yeast wants to grow with.
That's amazing. And we're 98.6. It's 70 in here, but we're 98.6 inside. What would your peers say? If I were to ask someone at NIH, for example, how many of 100 patients would have an underlying yeast problem?
Oh, they would not think that, but one of my friends back 30 years ago said, I was with the head of OBG down at Baylor, and he knows what you do and he doesn't like it. And I said, next time you see him, just tell him if he'd just fix him, I wouldn't have to.
Dr. John Trowbridge has written a book called The Yeast Syndrome. Can they download Sick and Tired?
Sick and Tired from my website.
Okay, the website is?
healthchoicesnow.com.
It's yours, folks. Sick and Tired, and of course, The Yeast Syndrome, a book that I really helped build a career on. Thank you. God bless you, John. Good to see you. You bet.
Have you been told you have hypertension or high blood pressure? It's called the silent killer because it's usually unnoticed until you get a heart attack or stroke. A recently published study has discovered amazing news. Garlic, one of our favorite antifungal spices around here, was shown to be just as effective at lowering blood pressure as the leading medication, which is called atenolol.
Friends, I wrote a true story last night on my Facebook page that you must read as a prelude to what I'm going to teach you right now. It was the end of April that I wrote this story, and it's about pet food, and that really upsets me. We have a cat that was dying. It went down to 7 pounds, diarrhea, vomiting all day. We couldn't figure it out because we were buying the most expensive, organic, healthy little can of cat food for this animal. One night, we thought it was dead, so my wife and I took it 3 in the morning to a veterinarian 20 miles from our home. Very nice woman. And I asked the question, could fungus in this cat's food? Because nope, this cat has thyroid problems. She's got 6 months to live. Next day, our veterinarian came home from a trip. We took Alex to our veterinarian. Could fungus in this expensive, we took the can. No, fungus can't cause thyroid issues. Then we took him to a well-known holistic veterinarian. And he said that, she's got a few months to live, she's got a thyroid problem, but could these expensive, no, fungus can't cause thyroid problem. Okay, let them be wrong, don't let them be dead wrong. I just pulled this morning, second FDA warning to a big company that provides the food in packaged and canned animal food. See, if mycotoxins in the human diet are too high, the FDA regulates only one of them, called aflatoxin, made by Aspergillus. If they're too high, off they go to the food industry. But the FDA has sent a second letter in a couple of years to a huge pet food manufacturer that they've got bacteria and they've got aflatoxin. Aflatoxin is a poison that can kill your pet really prematurely. What did we find out? 5, 6 years later, Alex is alive and well, now 10 pounds, and is behaving like a kitten. Diet is everything. Let me go over that with you. Okay, now that you're eating better and feeling better, do you ever wonder why your pet is always sick? Let me keep going. Poisons in our pet foods. This is amazing, folks. The threat of mycotoxins, fungal poisons, is nothing new to the companion animal industry. I like that, the companion animal industry. However, never before has it been so prevalent and so public. Most recently, the reality of mycotoxins in pet food manifested in the death of more than 70 dogs and illnesses in 80 more in the U.S. due to aflatoxin poisoning. This led to a massive recall of pet food products that were found to be the source of the issue. And let me just drop back, folks. 70 deaths and 80 illnesses? No. See, the doctor thought this was thyroid. Her death certificate, if they give those to pets, would say thyroid or cancer. When you get this aflatoxin, we use aflatoxin to cause cancer in cancer study animals. There's not 70 deaths. There's probably 70,000 deaths. But the veterinarians are saying, oh no, that wasn't a myco. They don't know the word mycotoxicoses. Now you do, and I hope it helps. Not to degrade the veterinary industry, but we got a lot to learn. Our doctors, human doctors and pet doctors, have a whole lot to learn. Why isn't this taught in medical training? Is corn or bran in your pet food? Just check this. Aflatoxin is a poisonous Aspergillus byproduct. Is usually seen in corn, cottonseed, peanuts, and almonds, and their associated byproducts. For this reason, corn is one of the ingredients in dog food that poses the greatest risk to companion animals. So right, so right. This guy, Dr. Max Hawkins, is one of my heroes. In addition to the risk attached to raw whole grains, feed producers should be aware of the higher risk of concentrated levels of these fungal poisons called mycotoxins that can be present in processed cereal byproducts like bran, which is often used in pet food. Wait a minute, cereal? I had cereal for breakfast. I didn't. You might say, I had cereal for breakfast this morning. I ate a bagel. I'm eating pasta. Isn't wheat a cereal grain? Mm-hmm. Wow, the ramifications of this. So here's what I do. Consider human food in slight amounts for your pet, okay? Study this carefully online, as not all human foods are tolerated by our pets. Consider adding chlorophyll liquid drops to their water. Chlorophyll is powerfully antibacterial and antifungal. Consider using a pet probiotic every day or every other day in their food. If a serious health problem exists, ask the veterinarian for the antifungal drug, I don't know, Nizoral or one of those, for a week or more, and see if this doesn't help, folks. I hope that helps you. Understand, if your pet really has health problems, think fungus and think their food. It can be the most expensive in the world, as we were giving Alex, and it can still be impregnated with mycotoxins. I hope this helps a lot of our pets. I love pets. Well, if one has been exposed to mold and has Candida overgrowth as well, can one get well? Understand that Candida is yeast. Yeast is single-celled fungus. Say that 10 times quickly. Single-celled fungus. So you have a fungal condition. Now, Candida is what we call a commensal. When you were born, God put Candida and good bacteria in the gut, and they compete for a food supply. Along came antibiotics in the 1950s, erasing the bacteria in the gut. Antibiotics are indiscriminate bacteria killers. So the bad stuff causing your earache and the good stuff lining the gut are gone. Now the yeast begins growing, so Candida can become activated and really cause some health problems. The question is a good one. Can I get better? We are realizing, I just read a study the other day, that Alzheimer's is predisposed in individuals who have a bad gut terrain. So isn't it funny that alcohol and, the medications we take and the bad foods we eat and so forth can predispose us even to neurological symptoms? Fix the gut. Probiotics, L-glutamine, and many other things, psyllium hulls and so forth. But most importantly, good food can help fix the gut. And when this works, it seems that everything works better. Exercising and eating healthy just seem to go hand in hand when it comes to looking your best. That's important. We talk about the phase 1 diet on our show all the time, and people who exercise actually want to eat better. Not only does exercise make you look more physically attractive, present company excluded, but it sends endorphins into your body, making you feel good too. That's what it's all about. Very few people who exercise want to go have a smoke, a beer, and a hamburger. These traits are apparent, looking good and feeling good, by the people around you and enable you to have more self-confidence when you exercise and eat well. Exercising actually helps build a better you. This isn't something that works for some people. Exercise works for everyone who attempts it.
Hi everyone, my name is Abby. Welcome to my kitchen. I wanted to show you today a quick little gadget that will make your life just a little bit easier. We all know and love garlic. It's a great antifungal. It's a lovely little herb that we use in a lot of our cooking, but it can be kind of annoying to do right offhand. So I've got this quick little garlic peeler here. It's a little kind of rubber tube. What you do is you take a piece of garlic in, put it in the middle, and then you just roll it around a little bit. Take it out. All done. You can chop this up, or if you want to grate it, take this little garlic grater, hold it between your fingers, and just rub it around on this tiny little plate. And you can see it's got these little grooves here that kind of mash up the garlic. This also works really well for ginger, if you like fresh ginger. And it just basically grates everything down into a nice garlic paste. So now you've got some excellent garlic paste if you have a recipe that calls for garlic paste. They're really easy to use and they're nice to have around just for quick little things like this. But yeah, give it a try.
Wow, I finally know what a garlic peeler is. Thank you, Abby. Isn't that interesting, folks? In a human-fungal relationship, fungus becomes the dominant cell, not the human cell. Fungus takes over, and eventually fungus can take you down. We call it a systemic mycosis. Once it's in your bloodstream and bouncing around from organ to tissue to organ to tissue. Next was this cat and dog food, canned food sometimes. I would say this is rare, but sometimes can be impregnated with molds, and even the manufacturer doesn't know it. So we have to be careful when we buy canned or packaged food. You know, we like to steam vegetables or fish or turkey like we would eat and give it to our cat, who is alive 6 years longer than she was supposed to be. And thank you, Dr. Trowbridge, on food allergy. Now you know methylene blue has antifungal properties. It was a stain, still is, used in laboratories around the world. Just happens to have antifungal properties. Many things do, including food. God bless you. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.